The millionaire's daughter never walked until he saw the nanny doing something unbelievable. Marcus Blackwell had everything money could buy. A sprawling Manhattan penthouse, a fleet of luxury cars, and a business empire worth billions. But as he stood in his daughter's doorway, watching her sit, motionless in her wheelchair, staring blankly out the window, he would have traded it all for one simple thing: to see 8-year-old Emma take a single step. 3 years had passed since the accident that stole his daughter's ability to walk, and his wife's life in one devastating moment. The drunk driver who slammed into their car had left Marcus a widowed father to a paralyzed child who had retreated so far into herself that she barely spoke anymore. Despite hiring the world's best doctors, physical therapists, and specialists, Emma remained confined to her wheelchair, her spirit as broken as her legs. If this story touches your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more inspiring stories that will change how you see the world. Your support means everything to us, and we love reading your comments about how these stories impact your life. The parade of nannies had been endless. 12 in 3 years, each one leaving after failing to connect with Emma, or breaking under the pressure of Marcus's demanding schedule and overwhelming grief. Some were intimidated by his wealth, others frustrated by Emma's silence, and many simply couldn't handle the heartbreak of watching a brilliant little girl waste away in depression. That's when Sarah Martinez walked into their lives. Unlike the polished, credential-heavy candidates Marcus usually hired, Sarah was different. She was a 26-year-old, former elementary school teacher from a modest background, with gentle eyes that held their own shadows of loss. During the interview, she didn't boast about her qualifications or promise miraculous results. Instead, she simply said, "Sometimes the smallest steps forward matter more than giant leaps. Mr. Blackwell, I'd like to take those small steps with Emma if you'll let me." Something in her voice made Marcus hire her on the spot, though he warned himself not to get his hopes up. He'd been disappointed too many times before. Sarah's first week was unlike anything the household had experienced. She didn't try to force Emma into therapy sessions or bombard her with activities. Instead, she simply sat with her. She read books aloud, painted watercolors nearby, and hummed soft melodies while organizing Emma's room. Most importantly, she shared her own story. "I used to be a teacher," Sarah told Emma, one afternoon as they sat by the large windows overlooking Central Park. "I had a classroom full of wonderful students just like you. But something very sad happened to me too, and I had to leave. For a long time, I didn't think I'd ever want to teach again or be around children. But then I realized that sometimes when we're broken, we can help heal other broken things. Maybe we can help heal each other." Emma didn't respond, but Sarah noticed she had stopped staring out the window and was listening. The breakthrough came during Sarah's 3rd week, though Marcus almost missed it entirely. He was working late in his study when he heard something unusual. Music. Not just any music, but Emma's laughter mixed with a gentle melody. He quietly approached Emma's room and peered through the slightly open door. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. Sarah was on the floor, her legs stretched out in front of her, and she was pulling herself across the carpet using only her arms, her legs dragging behind her. She was singing a silly song about a determined caterpillar who couldn't use her back legs but discovered she could still explore the garden. Emma was giggling, actually giggling, for the first time in 3 years. "Your turn, brave explorer," Sarah said, gesturing for Emma to join her on the floor. "Let's see how far we can travel together." Marcus watched in amazement as Emma, without hesitation, lowered herself from her wheelchair onto the carpet. For the next 20 minutes, both Sarah and Emma moved around the room using only their arms, exploring under furniture, behind curtains, and around corners like two adventurous explorers on a grand expedition. But what Marcus witnessed next changed everything he thought he knew about healing, hope, and the power of human connection. As they played, Sarah began sharing more of her story. She told Emma about the car accident that had taken her ability to walk 2 years ago, how she had been told she would never teach again, and how she had struggled with depression and anger. She explained how she had learned to find joy in small victories and how she had discovered that being different didn't mean being broken. "The doctor said I'd never walk again either," Sarah said gently. "And you know what? They were right about my legs, but they were wrong about everything else." They said I couldn't live a full life, couldn't chase my dreams, couldn't help children learn and grow. They were wrong about all of that. Emma's eyes widened with understanding. For the first time since the accident, she had met someone who truly understood her pain, someone who shared her struggle, someone who could show her that a life in a wheelchair wasn't a life without purpose or joy. Over the following weeks, Marcus watched his daughter transform. Sarah didn't focus on physical therapy or walking exercises. Instead, she focused on Emma's spirit. They created art projects together, both working from their wheelchairs or the floor. They cooked meals with Sarah, showing Emma how to adapt recipes and kitchen tools for their needs. They read stories about brave heroes who overcame challenges, and Emma began creating her own stories. Most importantly, Sarah showed Emma that her wheelchair wasn't a prison. It was simply a different way of moving through the world. The challenges they faced weren't small ones. There were days when Emma's frustration boiled over, when she would cry and demand to know why this had happened to her. There were nights when Marcus would find Sarah in the hallway, tears streaming down her face as she grappled with her own limitations, while trying to be strong for Emma. There were setbacks when Emma would withdraw again, days when progress seemed impossible, and moments when all three of them questioned whether healing was really possible. The medical challenges were complex too. Emma's doctors had warned that her paralysis was likely permanent, that while her spinal cord showed some function, the psychological trauma combined with the physical damage made recovery highly unlikely. The specialists insisted that accepting her condition was more important than hoping for miraculous changes. But Sarah understood something the doctors didn't, that healing the spirit was just as important as healing the body. She worked with Emma on rebuilding her confidence, her sense of purpose, and her belief that she could still achieve wonderful things. They set small goals together, painting a picture, writing a story, learning to navigate her wheelchair with confidence and grace. The financial challenges were significant too, though Marcus never let on. Emma's ongoing medical care, the constant stream of specialists, the modifications to their home, and the emotional toll had strained even his considerable resources. But watching his daughter smile again, seeing her engage with the world, was worth every penny he had ever earned. Then came the day that changed everything. Marcus arrived home from a particularly difficult board meeting to find the house unusually quiet. He searched the main floors before hearing voices from Emma's room. As he approached, he heard Emma's voice, stronger and more animated than it had been since before the accident. "Sarah, I want to try something," Emma was saying. "What's that, sweetheart?" "I want to see if I can stand up. Not because I have to, but because I want to try. Will you help me?" Marcus pressed himself against the wall outside the door, his heart pounding. Through the gap, he could see Sarah positioning herself next to Emma's wheelchair. "Of course, brave girl. Remember, this is just about trying. It doesn't matter what happens, okay? You're already perfect exactly as you are." What Marcus witnessed next defied every medical prediction, every specialist's diagnosis, and every moment of despair he had experienced over the past 3 years. Emma placed her hands on the arms of her wheelchair and, with Sarah providing gentle support and encouragement, slowly began to push herself up. Her legs, which hadn't supported weight in years, began to tremble as they took on the burden of her small body. "I can feel them," Emma whispered in amazement. "Sarah, I can feel my legs." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she continued to support Emma. "You're doing it, Emma, you're standing." For 30 seconds, Emma stood supported by her own legs, her face radiant with joy and disbelief. When her strength gave out and she settled back into her wheelchair, she wasn't disappointed. She was triumphant. "Did you see that, Sarah? I stood up. I actually stood up." Marcus could barely breathe. His daughter hadn't just stood up. She had found her fighting spirit again. She had discovered that limitations didn't define possibilities, that courage came in many forms, and that sometimes the most important victories happen inside our hearts. He quietly retreated to his study and called Emma's medical team. Within hours, Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the leading pediatric neurologist in the city, was examining Emma with renewed interest and hope. "It's remarkable," Dr. Walsh told Marcus and Sarah later that evening while Emma slept. "The psychological healing seems to have created space for physical healing. Her determination and improved emotional state may have helped her neurological function begin to recover. will need extensive testing, but this is unprecedented progress. Over the next several months, Emma's recovery continued in ways that amazed everyone. She progressed from standing for seconds to standing for minutes, from taking a single supported step to walking short distances with her walker. But more importantly, she had become the vibrant, curious, creative child she had been before the accident. She started writing stories about brave children who overcame challenges. She painted pictures of adventures and dreams. She began expressing interest in helping other children who faced similar struggles. The depression and withdrawal had been replaced with purpose, hope, and an unshakable belief in the power of resilience. Sarah became more than Emma's nanny. She became family. Marcus offered her a permanent position as Emma's companion, and eventually, as his own heart healed alongside his daughter's, something deeper began to grow between them. Their shared commitment to Emma's well-being had revealed the depth of their character and the strength of their hearts. The day Emma took her first unassisted steps was filmed on Sarah's phone, not because they planned to share it with the world, but because they wanted to remember the moment forever. Emma walked across her bedroom, her face glowing with determination and joy, while Sarah cheered and Marcus wiped away tears of gratitude. "Look, Daddy," Emma called out as she walked toward him. "Look how far I can go." But Marcus knew the real distance Emma had traveled couldn't be measured in footsteps. She had journeyed from despair to hope, from isolation to connection, from brokenness to wholeness. She had learned that strength comes in many forms, that healing happens in its own time, and that sometimes the people who save us are the ones who understand our pain, because they've walked the same difficult path. As Emma reached her father's arms, she whispered, "Sarah taught me that being different isn't the same as being broken. And she showed me that the best way to heal is to help someone else heal too. Daddy, I want to help other kids like us." Marcus looked over Emma's head at Sarah, whose own journey from broken teacher to healing angel had given his daughter back her life. He realized that sometimes the most unbelievable miracles aren't the ones that change our circumstances. They're the ones that change our hearts. A year later, Emma and Sarah started a foundation together, visiting children in hospitals and rehabilitation centers, sharing their story and showing other families that hope and healing can come from the most unexpected places. Emma could walk independently now, though she often chose to use her wheelchair because, as she explained to the children they visited, all the ways we move through the world are good ways, as long as we keep moving forward. Marcus had learned that true wealth wasn't measured in bank accounts or business acquisitions. True wealth was measured in moments of courage, acts of love, and the unbreakable bonds formed between people who choose to heal together. The story of Emma and Sarah reminds us that sometimes our greatest challenges become our greatest strengths, and that the people who enter our lives during our darkest moments might just be the angels we've been waiting for. If this story moved you, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more inspiring stories that prove love and determination can overcome any obstacle. Tell us in the comments about a time when someone unexpected changed your life. We read every single one and love hearing your stories of hope and healing. The millionaire's daughter did learn to walk again, but more importantly, she learned to live again, and sometimes that makes all the difference in the world.